Do you ever wonder how you stack up financially compared to the average person? It's natural to be curious as to how you're doing with your personal finances, and to want some sort of benchmark which can help you assess your own success. In this video, I'm going to cover some surprising statistics about saving, investing, income and expenses, so you can see how you compare and whether you need to think about making changes to your spending habits. Welcome back to Nomad Money, where we break down the tough personal finance topics to help make your decisions simpler. Let's start off by looking at income. The average person working in the US makes roughly $42,000 per year, but this includes people who work part-time. When looking only at full-time workers, the average income jumps to $56,000 per year. If you're well into your career and you're making less than this, you might want to think about negotiating a pay rise, looking for better paid roles in your area or field, seeking further training, education or development opportunities, or starting an online business or side hustle. The average household income is around $87,000, but remember that many households have children who need supporting financially, so this amount is needed to cover the entire average family's costs. To be in the top 1% of earners, an individual would need to make $402,000 per year, or for a household they'd need $570,000 per year. Don't let this dishearten you though. This level of income is not necessary to lead a successful life, and there's still plenty of time to increase your own earnings. 18% of US individuals make more than $100,000 per year, and 34% of households make over $100,000. This is a much more realistic goal to start off with, and can easily be achieved if you find ways to grow either in your career or in business. In the UK, the average person makes £33,000 per year. Let's take a quick look at expenses. The average person spends roughly $38,000 per year. After looking at the average income, this level of expenses would suggest that the average person may be unable to save much money at all, if anything. But note that the average can be skewed by high spenders, and each person's situation will be different. The average household spends around $67,000 per year, and in the UK the average person spends £24,000 per year. We'll be looking at some shocking figures on different types of expenses soon, but first let's take a look at housing. The average US house value is somewhere between $360,000 and $420,000, while the average UK house value is £296,000. In both countries, you can expect your monthly housing costs to eat up around 26% of your income. The average homeowner is 56 years old, while the median age of a new homeowner is 42 years old. But this is increasing. The median homeowner age is up 21% since 2001, reflecting the fact that it is becoming much harder for young people to get on the property ladder, especially without help from family members. This is compared to the older generation of 65 to 74-year-olds, of whom a whopping 79% own their own homes. So if you're in your 20s or 30s, and you're worrying that you should own your own home by now, or be further ahead in this area, don't be too hard on yourself. The average age of a first-time buyer is now 36 years old. There are millions of people in the same position as you, and skyrocketing inflation combined with stagnant wages only makes it more difficult. You are not the problem here. This is a huge economic issue. Even the people of a similar age to you, who do own a home, likely had help with the down payment from family members. A UK government study found that among those who purchased their first home between 2015 and 2019, 54% say they had some form of financial help from their parents. Many of us aren't so lucky, and it will of course take longer to reach this goal. Now let's look at savings. The average American savings account balance is around $4,500, and 51% of Americans have less than $5,000 in savings. It's unclear whether this accounts for people with multiple bank accounts, but even so, this suggests that most people likely don't have enough savings to last 3 months in case of emergency. It's also thought that 35% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, so if you have more than this, you might be doing better than you thought. On a similar note to savings, what do you think the average net worth is? Do you think the average US household net worth is A. $300,000, B. $550,000, C. $750,000, or D. $900,000? You're right, it was $750,000. This might seem high, but remember that this figure includes many people who are approaching retirement age and need enough money to last them the rest of their lives. It also includes the value of people's homes. It's suggested that in retirement, you can roughly withdraw 4% of your net worth per year, without ever running out of money. This is known as the 4% rule, and you should look into it if you haven't heard of it before. Essentially, you'd need to have at least 25% of your annual living expenses saved up in order to retire comfortably if you're using this rule. And remember that net worth includes all assets such as property, which you won't be selling to cover living expenses as you need a roof over your head, so you may actually need an even higher net worth figure just to be safe in retirement. Now we need to talk about a huge issue: debt. In 2022, the average consumer had $39,000 in student loan debt, $23,000 in auto loans, $6,000 of credit card debt, $1,000 on a retail card, and $18,000 in personal loans. Again, these will be skewed by people with extremely large debt balances, but you can see just how much of a problem consumer debt really is. I've excluded mortgages from this list, as a mortgage is often a much better form of debt than these other items are. If you can find ways to pay down any bad debts and stay clear of loans in the future, this could make a huge difference to your financial situation. If you have high interest rates on outstanding debt, then there's not much use in trying to build your savings or investments because the rate of return will be lower than the interest rate, so you'd be making a better return by simply paying down the debt first. If you can meet your monthly expenses and don't need to rely on credit cards or loans, you can consider yourself to be managing pretty well. Now let's look at some crazy statistics on where your money really goes. Did you know that the average American spends around $1,000 on Christmas, with 65% of the holiday budget going towards gifts? Around $431 per month is spent on healthcare. $66 per month is spent on alcohol and tobacco, while just $54 per month is spent on personal care. That's something to think about. The Bureau of Labour Statistics found that in 2021, average annual expenditure was up 9.1%. This included a 22.7% rise in entertainment, a 15.9% rise in alcohol expenses, and a 13.4% rise in food costs. One item did decrease though: education. Education expenses decreased by 3.5%. Perhaps not the place to be cutting back, but 2021 spending would have been heavily affected by COVID, so take this with a pinch of salt. In the UK, the Office of National Statistics found that the households with the highest income spent nearly 4 times as much as the lowest income households, but their disposable income was roughly 11 times higher, which still leaves them in a much better position to save and invest the difference. It's easy to see why people believe that the gap between the rich and the poor is ever increasing. Finally, here are some quick-fire statistics to finish up, taken from a financial capability survey in the UK. 11.5 million people have less than £100 in savings. Roughly 9 million people are in serious debt, but only 1/3 of these get help. 21% of people rarely or never save money. 61% of people don't focus on the long term when it comes to money. And 55% of people don't understand pensions well enough to make their own retirement decisions. Finally, only 58% of people know of free or affordable sources of financial information. One free source of financial information is this YouTube channel. While I'm not a financial advisor, I do hope that the information in these videos can be helpful to assess your own problems or successes, and encourage you to start researching and improving your own personal finances. If you did find this video useful, please subscribe to the channel for similar content in the future, and thanks for watching.